Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. We are all smiles in the Zoom room today because we have one of the most fun people to come into the room, and we've already been fighting about who's more friends with her than the other one. Shocking that Mary Fran and I would argue about something. It is shocking, people. I know. Just hang in there. Get yourself some tea, some coffee. It's okay. We argue. Anyway, my good buddy, wink, wink, I'm the one who's better friends. Diane Berberian she came into my life a few years ago, and we'll talk about the hilariousness of how that happened and how she changed my life in one phone conversation to be able to step into the greatness that I was destined to do with my book. But she is the
Wow, that was quite the pat on your back.
Wait to hear the story. It's magnificent. And Diane is there's Kevin Bacon. You may have heard of him, 6 degrees of separation. Diane can trump that and run circles around it because she is not 6 degrees of separation. She is 1 degree of separation. Trust me, listeners, viewers, all of you, you know someone that knows Diane.
You do.
Ladies and gentlemen, Diane,
smile this
coming.
Yeah. So
thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So I wanted to start today. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. But you have this amazing quote that you put up on Facebook today. And our connection is through my husband, Dave, whom you have known for way longer than Kristen has. So I'm just going to throw that out there.
Throw that one out.
He and I were talking today, and he said, oh my God, Diane put up this great quote on Facebook. So here's what I want to start with. What you said today was, the sun will rise and set regardless. What we choose to do with the light while it's here is up to us. Journey wisely. And that was said by Alexandra L. I guess that's how you pronounce it. What a beautiful quote. So
what a way for me to move forward and make the best of today. I'm starting it with 2 great people. That's how I live my life. That every day we wake up, if people would just take a deep breath and realize, it doesn't have to be a Zoom call with like 2 awesome women, but there's always something good about every day. But people keep focusing on like maybe the one thing that went bad. And I think that needs to change. People need to change that. And I always, one thought at a time.
And let's be clear, you are struggling with literally the fight of your life in your health right now. So if you can say that, there's no reason anybody else can't say that.
I've already proved it. And this is my 2nd cancer, so I already proved it once. And I have a list of things that was not perfect in my life, but did not stop me from living pretty much a very cool 62 years. That's how I look at my life. I'm not that special, although I sometimes tell people I am.
We kind of think you are. Yeah, I'm going to go with you are.
I always say it's not special. I'm just definitely something different. I've chose differently. I talk about it even from my group of friends that I grew up with, how my life has taken such a different course than theirs, but I'm accepted to be as different as I am. And I've maintained friendships. And I think that's been the key to my life. Finding those people that I belong to or who accept me.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Finding those people who I belong to. We talk about building your tribe all the time. And as Kristen said, your tribe is enormous.
It is.
But that's key.
There's different levels in the circle. You know, some people are always at 12 o'clock. They're there no matter what. They're just as important as the people who show up at 6 a.m. or 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. But the circle is what's important, having that tribe. And I joked the other day, I did a podcast, and, you know, my line growing up was I wouldn't want to belong to a group that would have me as a member. No, because I didn't felt like I fit in. So that was my reason. I wouldn't want to belong to your group, when really I did. And then later in life decided that I should create my own groups and seek out those people that when you're with them, they don't notice blemishes. They don't notice, I hate to use the word disability, but shortcomings. And I've presented that quite openly to a heck of a lot of people, and it separates. There are people who have chosen not to be in my circle, and I'm okay with that, because the people who are in it are, I have no words for them. It's magnificent.
Well, I'll say this though. What I think, what I know is just one of the things that draws so many people to you. And so everyone that I've talked to that knows you goes, oh, their face just goes, oh, you know, over knowing Diane. And then there's always some funny story or something. But here's what I love. I believe it was a full intention on your life to not fit in, because you didn't fit in. Here's the moment that when I was saying about that you impacted me as putting that book out into the world that I did. You were the first interview that I did. And I'm not a writer. I was never a writer. We still have to deliver oxygen to my English teachers, because
she is not a writer, folks.
Mary Fran's like, I can write a tweet on the tweeter that she doesn't edit, and that's about it, right? And I was so nervous because I had to get this book into the world, and I had to do these interviews with people that are succeeding without sight. And you were the first one that, of course, was a connection to a connection, said, you got to meet Diane. And instantaneously, you put me in this whole different realm. I was like, oh my God, this is my first interview. I'm so nervous. Oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And you were hilarious. And I said, I'm so grateful. This is my first one. I've never done this before. And Diane says to me, are you kidding? I'm so happy to be in this because I'm a success. I was in another book because I'm a failure. This is great. I was like,
Grace, that to go back on both of those points. That was the day I volunteered at a triathlon, and it was an Ironman, so it was it was definitely at night. It was dark out, and I went as a support. I volunteered, and then later on, I got on a bike at night. If anybody's watched Ironman, it was a 26.2 mile run at the end of your swim and bike. So people are out there 11 to 16 hours in the dark, if they're still out there. It's dark out. And I wanted to give back to the sport. Excuse me, somebody just interrupted us.
Another member of her tribe, because there's
another member of the tribe. There we go.
There you go.
You're back. You're back.
Let's hope it's just a friend and not somebody like the IRS, who and I are having phone calls with lately. But anyway, so I'm out on this dark course, and this guy's trudging along on his marathon, and I had vision then, so I was safe to be out there. Let me preface that. I wasn't being foolish. And we're just telling stories. I'm a storyteller. I've been on the course before. I've done this. Oh, my humble beginnings. I got fished out of the water in 1989. They thought I was drowning. I was just a bad swimmer. I'm a Philly. That's all it was. Talking to. Next time I'm at breakfast, and this guy comes up to me and he says, "Are you the woman that spoke to me last night?" I said, "Yeah, I guess. I spoke to a lot of people." So he reviewed some of the things I said, and he said, "I'm an author, and I'm going to write a book. Would you want to be in my book?" I said, "No, I don't want to be in your book. I mean, for failing on my swim and DNFing in a race, I don't want to be in a book for that." And he says, "Well, here's my card. Give me your email." And he contacted me later and told me, beginners need to know that you get more than one chance if you fail.
Oh, I love that.
And that's what he saw about me. And I said, okay, you sold me. From that perspective, that is a person I want to be. I want people to know that whether, again, we can link disabilities or failures, but we always get another chance. And just because 1 minute or 1 hour or 1 day didn't go your way and you've now deemed it a failure is not the worst day. It's sitting down and figuring out, how do I make that better if it's important. So yes, 1999, I was in a book for being fished out of the water in, I guess it was early 90s or late 90s, 89. But I went on, yes, it took years to get my courage back and learn how to swim better, and changed my tribe, hung out with only triathletes for a while. 94 did my first Ironman, 95, 96 did the Ironman in Hawaii. And, you know, by then, you know, I just took it from there, did marathons, triathlons, and, you know, not just sport, but I fail sometimes in my career, or I'm retired now. But you always have to think, how can I make it better? And how I spend my life. Yes, making mistakes. And I think that's the best learning teacher. Make the darn mistakes. Everybody's afraid to make a mistake, but I'm not. No.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have a whole list of failures.
Well, we always say here, like we've had literally like every guest who's ever come on has said a version of that, because these are people who have learned you don't get anywhere unless you get up.
And it's that experience, I think, is where the lessons are. And I do a lot of meditating, and you sit still, and which people don't take the time to sit still in this 21st century. That if and it's another joke. So if you sit long enough, a private plane will bring you back to Pennsylvania. That was the joke the other day. And indirectly it was, because I had a decision to make as to how I was going to relocate from Florida to Philadelphia when I was already very sick and, you know, couldn't take all my belongings. And I know that I needed all my belongings. I already proved I didn't. But that's kind of what I do. I sit, I think, I meditate, and I try to do the best I can every day. Is it ever my best? Yeah, the best for that day is who I am. That's how I look at it.
I love that.
That's fantastic. So 2 things right there: doing the best that you can at that moment, at that day, with what you got. Might not be the best that you did yesterday, might not be the best you get tomorrow. And honestly, the week I just went through, and we're recording this on a Thursday, that's exactly how my week has been. Like my Monday, I was superpowered. Tuesday, I sucked, you know. Wednesday, I'm like, I'm going to be a little bit better than Tuesday. And this morning, I was back to my 100% Kristen. God bless the world. Sorry, I'm fully caffeinated.
Us. How can you have a bad day?
See?
Got you.
So Diane, you lost your sight at what point in your life? Because I know when you and Dave were kids, you know, you were just kids growing up in Northeast Philly. When did that start for you? And I mean, the reason I'm pointing that out is because I don't know that everybody knows that you had lost your sight and that you're battling cancer right now. I just want people to know what your circumstances are, because you're an amazing light. And I don't want to hear anybody bitching about anything today, because
like the weather. Complaining about this weather. But again, people do get up and that's how they start their day. Like, oh, this is going to be a horrible day. It's raining. Really? I can make it a horrible day for you, because most days I wake up in the bathroom with feeling very ill, and several days somebody has to come in and help me out of said bathroom. So, you know, again, in the scheme of life, what is the day? Like rain? Not a bad day.
Yeah.
But question, I started some vision changes in 2006. So I was already an adult. And, you know, at that time, age is, you know, when you go to a doctor and you say, well, I'm having trouble. Well, you're getting older. We need to change, you know, maybe it's time to start wearing glasses. And I'm like, this is different. Like I was already using reading glasses, but I was starting to lose like street signs. I knew the name. I knew what it said because I'd been there before, but I'm not seeing the middle of the vowels and consonants of that street name. Very concerning when you're in the car driving. Work was becoming a little difficult, finding everything on computers. So immediately, again, when function changes, and I'm a physical therapist assistant, I was once a teacher, you know, if you want something to be done correctly, you have to go for help. You can't do it. So when I did see an ophthalmologist, he was like, yeah, I think maybe something beyond me, something beyond just glasses is going on. Went to a specialist. Took about, I mean, I loosely fit into the group of macular degeneration because I lost central vision. And that's because of some macular swelling, but it's a side effect of what is happening to my retinas are thinning. And it's a degenerative process, so I do get worse, but now I'll give you the positive. So by 2011, even though we had tried different medications, different types of lenses, telescopes, tried everything. I'm the girl who's willing. I'll try anything. By 2011, all the intervention stopped being of any help to me. So I crossed the line of now being called legally blind. So I see things, but I don't see everything. I have a visual field of about 20 degrees around, which doesn't include that middle section. So I piecemeal things together when I look. And I don't drive anymore, which is always good to have a designated driver. That's been, that has plus and minuses to it. But again, a service that has been rendered to me made it possible for me to go to appointments and go to work independently. Even though I have to drive, they're second to my other needs. I go along with the limitations in my vision with technology and community support, and then family. I try and not have them do everything for me. I've lived independently until June this year. I now live with my family, but that's because of the cancer, not my vision. I live independently. But so 2011, things changed, and then I had to make changes. I call it, I went to blind school. I don't really mean that with disrespect, but I went to what is called Lighthouse of Pinellas when I lived in Florida. They taught me how to use my cane, technology. I had some counseling. I did group counseling. And, as much as I said, I don't need group counseling, I don't need, I did need it. And there must be used to hearing such arrogant people say, I'll figure it out, I'm in rehab, I work in a nursing home, I'll know what to do. These people had to teach me what to do. And there was a level of acceptance in that too, that going through learning new skills at 50 some years old, I think I was in my 50s, I didn't need that. But it proved to me I did need that because it totally increased my independence. One of the first things that I recall them coming to teach me how to use my mobility cane, we were in like my parking lot. And I said, I don't stay in the parking lot. Like, I go everywhere, and I'm getting ready to travel for the first time to New York City alone. And I need to find some big streets, noisy big streets to teach me how to cross. And of course, they're like, no one ever wants that. Not even that I want it, I need it.
Yeah.
So of course, big step for that woman. I've taken her across almost like 4-lane highways with traffic lights. And she kept saying, I said, well, I don't think New York is going to be any easier than this. So we need to do it.
Yeah, good for you.
So, I mean, that's how I started.
So
I
it was,
gotta, go ahead, Mary.
acceptance and then embracing it.
Okay, so that's where I was actually going when they were teaching me how to use a mobility, excuse me.
Well, that's actually the title of the chapter of Diane's chapter in my book, Embrace the Journey.
Embrace the journey. And I have to tell people more than anything, whether it was because of age and slowing down work or fitting into a whole new village of visually impaired athletes, my life took off. I always say, I don't know that I would have had as many adventures if I didn't lose some of my vision. Because the first trip that I went to, yes, was New York City. And I don't think I'd been there before with vision. So, of course, I kept figuring things out. Like, I would have things in large print, like how long does it take to get from the airport to the hotel where I was staying, and talking watch. And I'm estimating, like, okay, we've been in the car for 20 minutes and, just totally wigged out about how am I really going to succeed at this. And I mean, there were a few faux pas with it. You know, I wanted to go have lunch when I got there, and New York is very busy. And I just asked the concierge at the hotel, where's the closest pub? Because I wanted to have a beer and a hamburger. It was in the afternoon. And so he gives me directions, and I said, well, I'm visually impaired. I guess there's no chance you're going to walk me down the street. Couldn't leave. Follow the people. So follow the people I did. And when they crossed the street, I crossed the street. You know, you can't count on all the cars that have stopped at safe. That's the worst rule anybody should ever follow. Street lights don't guarantee in New York that people are going to stop.
Yeah.
But I went with the people, and they crossed, I crossed, and I'm walking. The guy said it would be blah, blah, blah. And I get to where what I remembered, and it has steps. I start to walk up the steps, and I hear from the street, lady, I don't think you want to go there. And I, well, is it a pub? And they were like, no. I still don't know what it was, but it was not where I. So finally, a kind person said, where are you going? And I said, oh, a pub down on the corner. And he goes, well, that was your first clue. The steps are not on a corner, which was very cool of somebody to go along with picking my personality. I'm not mad, you know. So I went into the pub, and that's how I learned some of my other strategies. Find a restaurant, go in, sit at the bar. So the bartender always has enough time to talk to you. And I get information from people about what city I'm in and where to go, not go, things like that. But again, it goes back to the beginning conversation. You have to be willing, one, to ask questions, ask for help, and just get a village. Even if it's a village that you only use 1 day or 1 hour, you need these people. We all need people. Isn't that a Barbara Streisand song?
Oh my gosh, I love that idea that you just put out there to the world, because we talk about a village and a tribe all the time, but the village can be people that help you in a moment and you never see them again.
Correct. But they came into your life. I say there are no accidents. I truly believe everybody who's in my life have been here for a reason, even if for a short period of time.
I love it. I want to back up to when you were talking about, because I remember this is also in the story in the book with you. One of the other things that has impacted me since our conversation was about how you said that you were against therapy in the beginning. You didn't need it. And then you decided that, okay, you know, I'll use this to try to be helpful. And what you said to me was you learned a strategy that has carried me through my 4-year divorce journey, because you said that what you learned in therapy was later when you weren't in therapy, you could say, oh, I know what this feeling is. Right. I remember this. Let me sit with this. And here it comes again, and it's going to go away, but I'm just going to sit while it's here. And it's like a version of what we talk about with Mary Fran always says, are you going to live there or are you just visiting? And you were the first one to introduce that concept to me of, I'm going to visit with this. I remember it, and I'm going to keep going.
Yep. And I say this all the time. Well, and I just joked about how did I get on a private plane to fly back from Florida to Pennsylvania. I had a month, and I was very sick, much sicker than what you're seeing now, because now I'm getting some good medication in me and it's helping me a little bit. But when I first started cleaning up and having to make decisions, do I relocate now? You know, I made it through the first cancer, living on my own with help coming in, but I'm given a different diagnosis this time. I'll move ahead real quickly. I don't know if you want to call it terminal or end stage, but my cancer has returned, spread, and is out of control. They cannot control the cancer. But in planning, like, how am I going to get through this? I, of course, with meditation, and I call it just sitting still. If you just sit still, I don't ask questions. It's not like praying to God, which has a place in my life, but it's just a time where I sit and analyze, or let me recognize what I'm feeling and what may be the possibilities of how to deal with it. So that's why I sit still, and let things filter. So with the plane, I kept, you know, we packed, we purged, we donated, and I knew that I was coming to live with family, but I didn't need furniture and all these things, which again, being a minimalist, makes life much easier. And I came here, well, no, I'm talking about the plane. I sat and went through like picturing, how am I going to get there? I'm sick. I don't want to get on a commercial plane during COVID time. I don't know that I can handle somebody driving me. I don't know, should we get an RV so I can sleep? Went through all these possibilities. How do I make this transition? That's another big word in my life. How do I make the transition as smoothly for me, safe for me, and for my family, who was basically now my go-to people. You know, I live with my family. And I waited, and finally I, again, look at my tribe, have a very kind man in my life who owns his own plane. And you know, about this other topic of vulnerability, you know, when a strong woman, who I've always been or appeared to be, is really in need of an answer, like, what am I going to do? And it came to me that I do have a friend that has a plane. And as hard as it's going to be for me to ask, if I don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. My other big caveat, if you don't ask, the answer is no. So I reached out and I said, I have the biggest favor to ask, and I'm crying and I'm embarrassed, and it's so hard for me to ask for this much help, but it's a big one. And my friend, and he just said to me, I don't know what your question is, but the answer is yes.
Aw, what a
And
friend.
again, if that doesn't prove to you that you need a village, that was an out there. And I just talked to him maybe in February, when I had no indication that there was going to be cancer. But I hadn't even talked to him other than social media. I haven't been in his company for maybe a year.
Wow.
But the connection, the respect, mutual respect of both our friendships. And he flew us back. My nephew and my niece came with me.
Wow.
So if we haven't told enough right now in the last couple of minutes about the importance of villages and sitting still, and replay that for the people that are listening. Replay it, because I sit here in front of you with the truth. This is life. Life is about having a village, being vulnerable. I think I'd rather be known now for being vulnerable than for being like this really cool athlete. I think we got blocked again.
No, we hear you. So we
Right.
yeah. You know what you're talking about with this whole idea. We talk all the time about, you have to put your hand up, you have to ask, but it's hard. And
Well,
you just hit that right on the head with you, because it does show your vulnerability when you ask for help. We have this thing in this country that, you know, we have to be independent. We're going to do everything ourselves. And, you know, you've said over and over during this conversation, we can't do everything ourselves. We weren't put here. We weren't meant to be alone and do things all ourselves. And I think that's a beautiful way to put it. You have to be vulnerable.
well, excuse me. It's my phone that's dying. Hold on. Not me. Not I have a lot of death sarcasm. It makes people uncomfortable.
Not us. There's very little that makes us uncomfortable. I'm not sure why that is, or if it's a good thing necessarily, but just whatever you need to say, we're good.
Right. You know, and again, I grew up raised by a single parent who taught us to be very independent. And I'm not quite sure I took it to the level she was actually meaning. You know, she never said you could be strong and independent, but you'll still need people. She never told us that.
You've given us so many things to think about today, and so much beauty in this really, really hard journey. And I just can't thank you enough for joining us and
For asking
sharing
me.
some of your light with us, because you are a light. I have to say, I don't, you know, like I said, you and Dave have been friends for a long time, and I'm sorry that our relationship has only just kind of begun, but I'm honored.
Well, I'm honored to be with you too. I mean, I don't have books or podcasts or but willing to join.
Well, look, here you go. I mean, this is step one. We're right there. You did a podcast last week too. So I think the beauty of all of this is that you're sharing your journey with people at a time when most people wouldn't do that. And that's a gift. So thank you for that.
I want to share, if I can just share one more thing about our interview for my book. I ended every single chapter with the bright side of blindness because I didn't want it to be something that was not uplifting. And I think actually Diane had the longest amount of thoughts in the bright side because you look on the bright side so much. But this goes to your whole, just to sum up your belief and what we've all taken away from you today about having a village and a tribe. You said, I found that since I lost most of my vision, I finally get to know people without making any judgment at all based on what they look like or what they're wearing. That's something I wish I was able to do from a young age. My friendships are now forged based entirely on who the person is rather than his or her appearance.
Right. And I think, all of us secretly have always wanted to just be that person that people don't care what your clothes are or, what you look like. Just listen, take that off the card table, take what I'm wearing or what I'm looking like today and let's just engage, I'm hoping that other people kind of get that sooner in life than I did, because again, I'm much older. And I'm not sure that younger people are being given that message. Like it's okay not to dress like everybody else. It's okay not to have the same interests as everybody else. I mean, I'm from the Northeast. I went to Archbishop Ryan. I went to college locally. And I always say that I think in each one of those phases of my life, I was a little different because I was working so hard to fit in. And it took a lot of maturity. And I guess that does come with life. Sorry, I keep wiggling the phone. My progress in life, I'll call it. I mean, did I have good grades and I had friends and I was athletically gifted in a lot of ways. But until I got old enough to just go, it's okay if people don't like me, or it's okay that I don't dress like everybody else. I just, can I bring up some author's name?
Do whatever makes you do whatever you want to do.
Good authors. I did a lot of Dr. Brene Brown's work. Probably read every book she's written and revisited just recently after this cancer diagnosis, because I have to keep reminding myself with this perfectionism and overachieving type A personality, I was going to miss so much in these last few months of my life if I didn't just chill out and not worry about being the best person to go through cancer. But that's how I start every journey. I'm vision. I'm going to be the best visually impaired person. Yeah. I did it in sports. I will be the best on the team this year. In school, I will have the best grades. So now, I went through vision loss. I'm not the best at being visually impaired. I still screw up a lot. I'm more comfortable with it, which I think is a gift. I'm not angry. I do meet people that are, so mad at some of their life circumstances. And I'm like, you're missing the point. We're given to find a better path. And I think that my life has improved since vision loss. I think that the quality of my friendships and my getting the whole vulnerability thing happened through cancer. I'm not wishing that I had it at a younger age and would have had, maybe a different outlook on life. But I think that everything I've done leading up to age 62 has prepared me, which is why if we talk about death, I'm pretty calm about it. Do I cry at times? Am I sad? Yes. But I think now, because I've accepted vulnerability, to be able to cry in front of people or acknowledge that, saying it out loud, this is what scares me, or this is what I need. I think 17-year-old Diane would not have gotten it, wouldn't have felt the comfort. I do express fear of the unknown, like what are those last few days going to be like? How do I prepare? Driving the doctors crazy. I ask a lot of questions because I need clarity.
Sure.
And that's another thing about life. Some people are afraid to ask questions. And I guess that's a part of vulnerability too, because it means you don't know something.
Right.
But we're not meant to know everything.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, you know, it is always so much fun to hang out with you. It is always, you know, you hug my heart in a way that inspires me to look at things differently. I love that you just said, chill out. That's what I'm going to tell myself. Chill out, Kristen. It does not have to be perfect. It does not, I don't have to be the best at everything today.
Yeah. Like, you know, I don't have it as a tattoo, but it should say, I am enough. And Brene Brown thing, and I'm sure she's not the only one who has coined that, but you know, every day just be enough for today.
That's perfect. That's a perfect way to take us out.
Yeah.
I love it.
And now that we don't live that far from each other, you know, I have free time.
We're coming to see you. We are
picking up Mary Fran. She loves riding in my Jeep with me.
Well, I was going to say, you can't throw me in the back of that Jeep. You know, we're
going to put Mary Fran on the top, and then you and I will be in the front.
A day on the beach would be nice, you know?
Let's do it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Diane, thank you so much for spending time with us. We are really and truly honored. And this has been a gift and will be a gift to our entire tribe. So thank you. Can't thank you enough.
Good. Thank you.
Thanks,
can't wait in person.
All right, everybody. And your what is your Instagram? Is it Diane Berberian?
It's Diane Berberian or at Iron Diane.
Okay, we'll put it in a link to the show, and everybody can follow you over there on Instagram. Hey, thank you everybody for listening, for tuning in. Go back and re-listen to all the lessons that Diane has taught us here today, and we will see you next time on Brilliantly Resilient Live.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks, Mary Fran.